If you'll implement these 3 simple rules in your workplace, your communication will improve dramatically. Rule number 1, be present. Do you remember how back in elementary school the teacher would call roll and the teacher would call your name and you would say, present? Present means here, and present means now. Here and now. When I say be present, consider both of those dimensions of being present. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where they weren't really there? Not really. Maybe they're there talking to you, but they're looking at their phone while they're having a conversation. But they're not really present, are they? They're not here. What about times when you've had a conversation with someone and they're worried about something that's going to happen in the future? You can tell that they're preoccupied with that idea, or they're feeling bad about something that happened in the past. Any preoccupation with the past or the future takes you out of the now. Rule number 1 is be present, here and now. What would that look like in a communication with a coworker? They come to you, maybe you're sitting at your desk or you're working at a workstation, and the coworker comes to you and asks you a question. What if you were to put down what you're working on, turn to the coworker, get some eye contact, show them that you are here and now? Wow. That could be really powerful, couldn't it? That's probably the best tip that I can share with you. That's why I made it rule number 1. I've got 2 more rules for you today that come from a communication model that starts with an understanding that in every communication there is a sender and there is a receiver. The sender is the one that originates the message or has the thing that they want to communicate. The receiver, well, they're the ones who receive it. That's why we call them a receiver. For the sender to get the message across to the receiver requires that the sender first encodes the message. Encoding is where you take whatever's in your mind and you turn it into a code. English is the code that I've chosen for this video. I'm trusting that you can decode that, but that's how I'm encoding the message because I'm the sender in this particular example. Now, once it's encoded, then it has to travel across some medium to get to the receiver. Today, as I talk to you, I encode it in English, and then it also gets encoded digitally into a signal that's transmitted through YouTube, and it has to go through wires, and it has to go through digital transfers to get to you. That's what I'm talking about. There's some kind of a medium in between. And then it has to be decoded on this side before the receiver can actually get the message. There's so many things that can go wrong in that process. I just wanted you to be aware of it so that the next 2 rules will make sense. Rule number 2 is listen to understand. There's 2 important words in that. Listen, which incidentally has the same letters as the word silent. Interesting. To understand. Assume that you get to be the receiver. Take that position first. A lot of times in communication, we want to get our point across, right? The second rule for you to do positive communication with a coworker is to assume the receiver role first, and you're going to listen to understand. Your goal is not to agree. It's simply to understand so that the message that the sender has matches the message that you receive. Listen to understand. Work toward that end. So we're not listening just to be quiet while we wait for our turn to talk. We're not listening to dream up all kinds of rebuttals or refutes to what's being said. That's not being present. Listening to understand is that you simply want to make sure that the message you receive on the receiver end is exactly the same as the message that was intended on the sender end. Listen to understand. What if you're the sender of the message? Well, that's rule number 3. Rule number 3 is that you express to be understood. Notice the goal is exactly the same. Understanding. Understanding and agreeing are not the same thing. This trips people up sometimes because they feel like, well, if I understand, people are going to think that I agree with them. Don't worry about that. Simply work for the understanding on either side of that transaction. Rule number 3 is all about express to be understood. Notice we're not expressing to persuade. We're not expressing to convince. We're not expressing to point out the flaws in someone else's thinking. Our goal is simply to be understood. When we achieve understanding, if both of us are working on that, we have the greatest shot at it. If you're the only one that's aware of these 3 rules, then start out as the receiver. Assume that you're going to receive and listen to understand. Being fully present, that was rule number 1. When it's appropriate, you can shift over to the sender side, but I would suggest you don't do that until you make sure you've understood what somebody else is trying to share with you. When all members of a team understand these 3 rules, the communication becomes very powerful. Since we're applying today's video to work and coworkers, you've probably thought of someone that you're working with who could really benefit. Maybe try this. Hey Joe, I just saw this cool video that I think is going to help us communicate better. Here's the link.
In the street alone. Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.